This is your weekend market review for Saturday, May 25th, 2024. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market review for Saturday, May 25th, 2024. Hopefully you're having a great long Memorial Day weekend. Shout out to all the service members, veterans, everybody who makes this country amazing. You know who you are. So we know we had an interesting week, a little bit of a roller coaster of a week. Not surprised. I think the roller coaster is about to gyrate even more. As we've talked about, there's, kinks in the armor, weakness behind the scenes. The market seemed to have been holding up for NVIDIA's earnings, which we talked about potentially happening for, it seemed like forever. And then we got some of the reaction. Again, you saw the breadth on Wednesday, bad. Saw some of the data coming in weaker, as we've talked about. You've got big data coming up next week, especially GDP. You have to keep in mind, like last quarter is projecting 3.1% to 3.5%, down at 1.3%. A lot of stuff slowing, as we've talked about. The writing's on the wall. I mean, Fed rate hikes, as we've talked about, have 6 to 9 month lag effects, and well, you're there. I mean, you're there. I mean, the economy is slowing as fast as it really can, and we'll see what happens, though. I mean, that's the thing. They're pumping a ton of money. So anyway, into the economy. So let's talk about it. Let's see what we see. Trade accordingly. Be safe. New to the channel, check out the Discord room. If you need any help with buying, selling, investing in real estate, let me know. Follow on Twitter. Like, subscribe. If you want to chat, use the little Zoom chat. Hit me up. Love to take 20, 30 minutes. See how I can help you. Check out our website. All the great features on it, all the fun stuff, the Twitter posts, the YouTube stuff, the recommended reading. It's all there. Yeah, you need to get in contact with me, let me know. And for education-wise, here you go. All the videos on YouTube and my website. Let me know how I can help. Hit the notification bell, too. We do live chats here and there. And, yeah, probably a little less usually during the summer, but we'll be ramping that up shortly. So, oops, not LinkedIn. Hey. All right, CMA watch tool. We know the first rate cut is not expected till September. You have to remember, if they're cutting rates, there's probably going to be a reason why. I've said this, and I'm on record, some sort of black swan event or credit event, in my opinion, or something going on geopolitically. So as you can see, that's the first rate cut potential. Bitcoin failed at 71,000, which we talked about. It's chopping between a range. When it broke the downtrend, not surprised it got back up here. High and tight would be bullish. If it's not, it'll come right back down to the range lows. Oil chopping around. Natty gas, we talked about, great trade. Said there was not much downside taking on the longs here, shorting KOD. Said now take some profits. Again, long term, if you disappeared for probably 6-9 months, a year, 2 years, probably not going to see much downside or see the downside stick. But if there is market pullbacks, do not be surprised by weakness pulling all commodities down. As we talked about, dollar breaking the wedge, holding up really, really well, y'all. TLT, bonds, we've talked about this. Hit the range highs, hit the 200-day, pulling back. It's interesting action near term. Rates going lower would be good for the economy, but also would show that people are freaking out and there's some reason why. So it's just worth keeping an eye on. The VIX, nice pop on Thursday, giving some of it back. Interesting action. Just keep an eye. I mean, that's an outside reversal bar. I mean, I'd be willing to, again, I'll just throw the arrow there, willing to bet that this is the bottom. It's just, do we get the move as fast as people think? We talked about the VIX bottoming first. Clear as day. It has. SPY. Not surprised. I said this on the recap on Thursday. Do not be surprised if there's some backfilling after Thursday's weakness post NVIDIA's earnings. I mean, the breadth was just absolute garbage. Did say the volume wasn't as heavy as I'd like to see it, so I'm not surprised where Friday's action was kind of an inside day. QQQ, same kind of thing, but holding up better. The IWM, same kind of thing, holding up, I guess. 20 days the key for the IWM, clearly. DIA, not really much of anything on Friday. More weakness, just keeping on it. Gold, as it's been leading up, anticipating Fed pivot and all sorts of fun stuff. What you got? Not so strong, in my opinion. We talked about double topping, don't trust in buying metals until the Feds pivot. Well, there you go. Silver, same kind of thing. Rips out. Gotta watch this 27, because right now it is strong. Give it credit where credit's due. GDX, Talked about if you bought dust on this bull trap, not a bad trade, but watch the 20-day in range lows. GDXJ, again, I got stopped out of dust, but it's okay. I mean, just watching it. Others are taking a trade on. I don't blame them one bit. Same kind of thing. Breakout. Got to stay under 45 if you're bearish, bullish. Going over. AEM. 20-day, this one has been stronger. AG, we talked about how this lagging looked ominous. You know, silver's making new highs. AG wasn't. That tells you something, right? Keep an eye on it. Newmont. Here you go. Retest highs. Dropping. PAAS. This one been acting well, holding up better than others. Credit where credit's due. Again, watch what's been acting strong. Watch what's been acting weak. I mean, you just got to keep an eye on it. Taiwan Semi holding up pretty darn well, considering China seems to be pressing the surrounding, like letting go of that area. Watch this area, chopping around. Just keep an eye on it. Micron. Inside day, again, pops up on NVIDIA's earnings, gives it back. AMD, we've talked about this thing being struggling around the 100-day. Just, man, it's a big choppy, sloppy mess. NVIDIA, I really like selling out of the money, longer dated calls. Now people say, oh, close at the high of the day. Okay, not a surprise. I mean, here you got multi-day range. We talked about 3-day range or 3-day rule in effect sometimes post earnings. Like, that's just kind of what it is, y'all. Be safe out there. Again, I like the idea of selling, I don't know. You could sell in the money or out of the money somewhere in this range. I mean, July, October, not October, August, September calls. And then at some point when it's ready, I think the puts make sense. Again, this is pricing in crazy future growth. And it's like Tesla. At some point it has to execute it. And so they'll price it in and then it'll go nowhere to down. That's my opinion. Again, it feels very much like the tech bubble. Every other stock that's having a monster run. SMCI, same kind of thing, 20-day holding, chopping around. Now, SMCI is a smaller company. So this to me, and again, I pay attention to their earnings and their potential growth and their market cap. The market pulls back. This is one that I'll be paying attention to. Intel, talked about how people just really got excited about a bottom in a long-term big up play. I mean, I personally think this thing it's going nowhere. I mean, there's just better stocks. SMH, closing near the highs again, multi-day range. Watch, see what happens here with this red arrow. Adobe, pops, flops, chops. I mean, the thing's all over the place. Apple, nice rally back after Thursday's drop. Still a little lower inside day. Keep an eye on it because it feels like, again, this is why we say don't ever chase, because you never know if the down moves at a top, retest, chop around, or if you're picking bottom, same thing. Like there's some sort of bounces and chops around in those lows. Just keep an eye on it. Amazonian, chopping around, breaking the 20-day, looks like a little double top. Meta, saw this on Friday. It was interesting because, again, anything up in this area to me makes sense for a short with tight stops. CRM has earnings coming up next week, Wednesday after the close. Gap down this morning, chopping around. This one's tough. I don't know. Between earnings, I could see it chopping around and then go with wherever, potentially. Google, nice new highs, stuck around the highs previously in early or late April. Keep an eye on that. Mr. Softy, Microsoft, it's been doing pretty darn well, holding up, but it's been choppy though. I mean, if you really owned it last couple of months, it's been quite a disappointment. NDAQ, here you go, chopping at the highs. Again, I like this for a short. MicroStrategy, we talked about that 1700 range with Bitcoin. Gonna be interesting. Worth a watch. I mean, there's probably a trade here. Netflix, I mean, we know there's a trade here. Just use your references. Be safe. So here you go. Netflix holding up at the highs. Roblox, talked about this kind of being dead money, chopping around. PanW, nice rally back. Watch this area. I mean, if you can get over 323, 224, could go higher. Again, I like this longer term. Maybe I missed some of the boat. I don't know. I'm anticipating cyber stuff. We talked about that endlessly. Tesla, 100-day seems to be the problem. I mean, here you go. Here's the struggle with like an NVIDIA. You get like these monster moonshots, and then they just go nowhere to down with the risk. Got to price in everything, and then after that, it's careful. DKNG, we've talked about this, 45. Nice short on that one. I mean, again, we talked about the vacuum of lack of sports. Once you get past the first couple rounds of the NBA, hockey finals, it's baseball and then nothing. I mean, yeah, people are betting on some sports, but everyone bets more March Madness. That's kind of the peak. Airbnb and Bizzle, gaps down, chopping around 200-day. The Costco holding up. They have earnings this week, Thursday after the close. I would not be doing much of anything, just watching. Starbucks chopping around. We talked about it being oversold, going from 107s or whatever it was down to 70. Not surprised. This is one to me has more relative potential bounce than say like an Intel. And I don't know. I'd be watching this backside of the trend line, maybe the gap fill. Again, if you short it long term, you're good. And when you covered some or you hedged like we talk about, you should be allowing it to play out, because until the market kind of gives it up, this thing can chop around, float up. FedEx, a global growth name, showing economic activity. Since its gap up, it's just been an absolute turd. Caterpillar, talked about the 20-day. It feels like it's had a nice ride and it's due to kind of pull back. New core, we like commodities, just chopping here. Let them pull back. I mean, that's the key here. I don't want to chase them, because I've seen commodities get absolutely slapped around like a redheaded stepchild. I don't know if I can say that, but that's the joke, right? So be careful. Please be careful. VALE, we like this one long term, 12s. Not really much to say. It's just big chop, chop, chop. Arrow, copper broke out and then gave it back up, but holding here. Got to hold the 22s. CCJ, again, we like this kind of stuff long term. But man, I don't trust Goldman at the highs. Just be careful on that one. CF, chopping. Mosaic, chopping. NTR, chop. Fizz. I mean, we like all these names long term. Just remember that, because the world's got to eat. When the inflation kicks in, ag names go nuts. AA, we like AA long term. Just again, can't chase it, but it's holding up pretty well. I mean, these are names you just put on the radar. XLF, we talked about, like in financial shorts. Talked about the engulfing bar a couple days ago. I mean, I guess that was 520. I guess that was Monday, basically. Or, Tuesday. Looks good. Keep an eye on watching the 20-day for now. Obviously, JP Morgan, Diamond's like, we're not buying stock up here. Market kind of got rattled by it. Are you surprised? Morgan Stanley, Store Stanley Morgan, chopping to me. It looks like a fake breakout. Just keep an eye on that, all right? Bank of America, been holding up pretty well. Choppy. Look at this multi-day range. I mean, you have a reference to trade around. Goldman Sachs, again, we talked about how Marcus isn't going out of business. But you had a multi-day range, kind of giving it up. Could you retest? Absolutely. Things you keep an eye on. Again, we talked about like banks and KRE. This is the problem, right? Like junior banks continue to be an absolute turd, right? Here you go. They bounce. They're going to break out. They give it all back. Yikes. XBI. Here's the name of a risk on, like junior bios. We talked about them being oversold, holding the 200-day. Chopping here. It looks like a head and shoulders top, y'all. See what happens. Mess around and find out, I guess, right? Solar, holding up 200-day. Interesting. Sedge. I mean, there's now talk of AI and solar, which, okay, cool. Certain names are not getting that bump, and some are. ENPH got a little bump on Friday. Okay. I mean, it needs to get over this 200-day, 100-day cross. Like, good luck if it does. We'll see. I mean, I'd be watching what happens when it gets up into the 140s. Keep an eye on that. First Solar, again, they're getting the AI pump. Talked about a 2-day range. Well, look what happened. You gapped up. I mean, if you had any shorts, you had to go. Big volume up here. I mean, again, I probably should do a little more due diligence on why it's rallying, but people keep saying just AI and solar. It's like, okay, we'll see how that holds up. Again, be careful. HYG, if you're short it, you can't just do it. Just if you're long it, roll up your stops. It's a great trade. But if you're short, you can't just sit there and short without stops. I mean, just amazing. Corporate debt, you got to be crazy out of your mind to buy that. Oil. Talk about oil being stuck here, watching these levels. UNG, I'm not a fan of UNG. Hot natural gas, a little overbought. Hits the 200-day, backs off. If you took your KOLD profits, looking good. Not surprised. Okay, now let it bounce. Remember, this is a decaying monkey. I'd be looking at the 60s. I'd be looking at the 60s near term, like max bounce. Keep an eye on that. Let me know how I can help. XOP, we talk about the oil and gas names. Ooh, holding, better hold. CVE, we like this one long term, but letting it pull back, chopping around. Valero, we're talking about the gasoline names leading down. They've been definitely down. MPC, not strong at all, which is interesting. Keep an eye on that. Exxon, we talked about, looked like it was going to break out to new all-time highs. It did, and then it gives it up. You're back at some support here. Watch what happens in this 113, 112, 11. 112 area. Occidental, we talked about this one being the Buffett sell calls, sell puts, chop it around, yawn. EQT, We love these names long term. Let them play out, chop around. Last but not least, Flex LNG. Like in this action again, I think we're going to be natural gas exporters in time. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Always here to help. Took Friday off. It is my birthday today, so I appreciate all the love, the generous donations. You guys are amazing. If you have any questions about real estate, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope if you're looking to sell, rates come down a little bit to give you some reprieve because this is the buying season. However, the market is just going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be independent. The location matters. And if you have got to sell or buy, please work with an amazing agent. Let me help you find one. I'd love to do that for you. All right. Hopefully you're having a great weekend. I appreciate you guys. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Peace out.